Everyone, welcome to my channel, Miss V's Mathies. My name is Miss V, and if you found your way to my channel, it's because you need help with your geometry class right now. Sooner or later, I'm going to get into the other maths, but for now, just geometry. And this video is going to be a continuation of my last video, which was on rigid motion versus non-rigid motion. So if you're a little bit confused about today's video, go ahead and take a look at that one as well, so you can kind of see where the lesson is going today. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so that I know to continue making more geometry content for all of you so you can succeed in your geometry course. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about translations. Looking down, it's because I'm currently writing while I'm speaking, so don't mind me looking down. I promise you, y'all can see me, it's all good. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about translations, and I covered it a little bit last week in my video on rigid motion. Translation is a kind of rigid motion, and specifically a translation is a slide. So whenever you have a figure, let's say I have this cute little triangle over here, and I decide, hey, I'm going to go ahead and slide that triangle over to the right without changing the shape of the triangle or anything like that. That is called a translation, okay? All I did was slide it. I didn't rotate it or anything like that. We'll get into that in my next video. And the blue triangle is called the pre-image. So I talked about this in my video last week as well. Pre-image is before you do any transformation, and the pink one is the image. So after you do whatever motion you do to it, that's what we call the image, okay? So translations are slides, and let's go ahead and take a look at specific ways that you can translate a figure. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a coordinate grid on here. And on my coordinate grid, just want to point out some important things, okay? So remember, our x-axis is horizontal. So think about when the sun rises over the horizon is horizontal. That's your x-axis, okay? And your x-axis goes from left to right or right to left, okay? So x is horizontal. And our y-axis is vertical. So one way I like to help my students remember the y-axis is to think about jumping. When you jump, you measure your vert, which is how far you jump up or down, okay? So your x-axis is horizontal, your y-axis is vertical, which means it can go up or down, okay? With translation specifically, I can move a figure to the right, I can move it to the left, I can move it up, I can move it down, I can move it a combination of 2 or 3 of those different things. So with translations, it's important to remember in which direction you're moving the figure and what that means in terms of the points of the figure. So whenever we move a figure, let's say to the right, okay? If I move a figure to the right, that means that I'm moving it more towards the positive x direction. So x is becoming more positive, okay? So think of it as like if I have a point, let's say right here at 1, 1, and I'm moving it 2 units to the right, notice if I go 2 units to the right here the figure was at 1, 1, and now it's at 3, 1. So notice how x became more positive, okay? So if I go to the right, x is becoming more positive, which means the opposite if you go to the left, right? If you go to the left, now x is becoming more negative, okay? So if I go to the left, x is becoming negative. If I go to the right, x is becoming positive, okay? And with the y-axis, that one's a little bit easier to remember because think of going up. If you go up, you're becoming more positive. If you go down, you're becoming more negative. So you can think of it as like when you're at sea level. So the x-axis right here is you being at sea level. If I go above sea level, so if I climb a mountain, I'm higher up on the earth than if I go underwater. If I go underwater or below sea level, then I'm towards the negative direction, okay? So that's just basically a gist of translations, and I'm going to go ahead and write down what I just said in terms of your y-axis, because I know a lot of you like to see actual words, okay? And negative y is down, okay? So now I want to go ahead and take a look at an example with you guys, okay? So I have an example right here, and I have this triangle on my screen right now, triangle ABC, okay? So this triangle ABC, I want to translate ABC 4 units to the left and 3 units up, okay? Now, I like to do this in steps because I think it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to show you guys what happens when you translate it 4 units to the left first and then 3 units up, okay? So first thing is we're going to go to the left. Like Beyonce says, to the left, to the left. The triangle's going to the left, okay? So if I move it 4 units to the left, I'm going to go ahead and do 1 point at a time. So let's start with point A. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So now point A is at -3, 0. And we call this A prime, okay? A prime, A with this little apostrophe right here. That means prime. Basically, that's you saying, oh, this is me doing a transformation or some kind of change to that point, okay? And now let's go ahead and move B 4 units to the left. So B, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now B prime is at 0, 5. And C prime is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Right over here. C prime is at -6, 3. Now let me zoom in so you guys can see it a little bit better. So now C prime is at -6, 3. This is me moving everybody to the left, okay? To the left. Now let's go ahead and go up, okay? Remember, you're doing both of these transformations on this figure, so I'm not going to use these original points and then go up from there. I'm going to go up from the prime points because that was me going 4 units to the left, and now I'm going to go 3 units up, okay? So now from A prime, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 units up. Same thing with B, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 up. And C prime, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 up, okay? And now we call this C double prime because that's you doing the second transformation. So now C prime is at -6, 6. B double prime is at 0, 8. And A double prime, I'm trying to fit it in here, is at -3, 3, okay? So my triangle now is going to look something like this. And I didn't close it off because I had my A double prime there, so I didn't want to get in the way. So this is how you translate a figure using just, the geometric tool and just seeing the figure and actually moving it yourself. But what if I didn't give you this picture? What if I just told you, hey, point A, and I'll go ahead and write down these points. Point A is at 1, 0. B is at 4, 5. And C is at -2, 3. Can you still perform that same translation 4 units to the left and 3 units up, but now instead what you're doing is you don't have the picture anymore? Now, of course, we all know you can draw the picture, but if you don't feel like spending time drawing your picture, there is another way that we can solve this problem, and we can solve it by using something called a function rule, okay? A function rule, which is basically a fancy way of saying what is it that I'm doing to these points specifically. So from the original points or the pre-image, what is it that I need to do to each of these points in order to go from the pre-image to the image, okay? And a function rule usually looks something like x, y, and that arrow is you signifying, okay, this point x, y becomes whatever it is that the transformation says to do, okay? So let's take a look at this one specifically. So in this specific example, I have to go 4 units to the left, and I also have to go 3 units up. And this is when remembering what I mentioned about the coordinate grid is extremely, extremely important, because now from here, remember, if we go to the left, we're changing our x value. And we also know that going to the left means that x is more negative, okay? So if I wanted to write a function rule for this specific example, then my x I know is going to the left and becoming more negative. So my function rule looks like x minus 4, because I'm specifically moving it 4 units towards the negative direction, okay? And then since I'm going 3 units up, remember in the up direction, y is positive. So I have y plus 3, okay? So that negative positive axes, it helps you figure out what sign goes in front of these numbers. So left we know means negative and up means positive for y. Negative for x and positive for y. So now that I have my function rule, all I have to do is test out each of my points. So let's say we'll start off with A, okay? And A originally was at 1, 0, okay? This right here, this 1, 0 is this x, y part of your function rule, okay? So now from there, I know that A prime, or the image, A image, okay? I have to plug in my x. So remember, whenever we have a point, this is our x, and this is our y, okay? So now I have x, which is 1, and I'll color code it a little bit better. I love to use my colors. My students make fun of me for that all the time, but they love it too secretly. So my x is 1, and now I'm going to just leave the minus 4 in there. I'm not going to mess with that. And my y is 0, and I'm going to leave the plus 3 in there. I'm not going to mess with that, okay? And now from here, it's just a matter of doing algebra. So we have 1 minus 3, which is negative 3, and 0 plus 3, which is positive 3. So that means that A prime, or the image, should be at negative 3, 3, which is exactly what we got over here when we did the translation using the figure, okay? Do the same exact thing with points B and C. And if you guys want, I suggest pausing the video here so that you can test yourself out to see whether or not you got this, okay? So let's go ahead and try out point B, which is at 4, 5. And let's do our transformation to B prime. So we're doing 4 minus 4, 5 plus 3. So B prime, or the image, should be at 0, 8, which is exactly what we got in the picture as well over here. And last but not least, let's go ahead and look at C, which is at negative 2, 3. Oops, I need to change that color. Negative 2, 3. And that's going to become negative 2 minus 4, 3 plus 3, which means it's at negative 6, 6, which again is exactly what we got in the picture, okay? So again, there are 2 different ways to do translations. You can either use the function rule, or you can also use the picture itself, okay? Whichever one you feel more comfortable with, try to stick with that one, and then practice the other one so that you can get more familiar with it, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I appreciate it very, very much. And if you liked this video and it was extremely helpful, consider subscribing to my channel. When I mean consider, I mean just go ahead and click that button. You know you're going to see more videos. And go ahead and like this video so that I know that you guys are enjoying my content and I can just continue making geometry videos for you all. Thank you so much. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.